This is what is known as a concert cylinder record. They were made in the late 19th century and very early in the 20th century. And it was made to give a better and a louder volume as well as better fidelity to the recordings that were made on these large cylinders. Let me open one of these up. They're rather tricky to open up. There we go. And here's one of them. They're also a type of cylinder known as brown wax cylinders. And you can see they're big. Compare this to a normal cylinder. This is a normal Edison size, also a brown wax cylinder, but look at the size difference. They're big, and they were the acme of recording expertise and recording fidelity in the very late 19th century, essentially 1898 and 1899 and 1900, 1902. By about 1905, they were pretty well obsolete. They were very expensive. One of these in 1898 cost about the equivalent of $100 today. That was about $5. And they play the normal length of the cylinders, which is usually 2.5 to 3 minutes. But they play loud, and they have pretty decent fidelity. They have much better fidelity than these standard size cylinders of the same time period, which are these 6-inch long cylinders on the Edison system. And these are, of course, the Edison system, but they're big. They're much bigger than cylinders that were normally made throughout most of the late 19th century. They're called concert cylinders, and number one, if you had a concert machine and you wanted to get a selection of cylinders, you had to put out quite a bit of money. They were expensive. They were really for the rich. People who lived in big Victorian mansions and had considerable incomes in the late 19th century would buy these. And because there's not that many people. That's kind of like the 1% that we have today. And there weren't that many people buying these because the cost was just too high. And not many of them survive, so they're really today pretty rare. And I'm going to play a few of them. I already have one on YouTube, which is the main theme song, Tell Me Pretty Maiden from Florodora. They were first introduced by the Columbia Graphophone Company in, I think, late 1897 or early 1898. And Edison followed suit and introduced them sometime about mid-1898. And the two companies, Columbia and Edison, competed with each other as to selling these very big and very expensive cylinders. And anyway, this is a Columbia cylinder I'm going to play, and the title of it is My Lady Hottentot. And it's just interesting. It has a real interesting rhythm to it that I find to be on some of these turn-of-the-century recordings, and you find it very noticeably on this cylinder. It's kind of a sort of a syncopation that I really like. I'm not real fond of jazz. I like ragtime, but I really like this very subtle syncopation. It's not obvious, but it's very prevalent on these brown wax cylinders, particularly the concert cylinders, and it's also characteristic of some of the early disc talkie machine records after Berliner disc, which are from the 1890s. You find some of the very, very first 7-inch disc talkie machine records. They have the same kind of subtle syncopation that I personally find very interesting. So anyway, we're going to listen to, first of all, My Lady Hottentot.
My Lady Hottentot, Gregory Mark, played by Columbia Orchestra, for Columbia Phonograph Company. Thank you.